I never thought a piece
This
of
is the
paper could
best
shatter
spot.
my world like
Yeah,
this.
with you.
My brother, the
Forever
one
and
person
ever.
who always had my
Promise?
back, was gone too soon. In his will, he
This is
left
the
me his
best
beautiful
spot.
mansion,
Yeah,
the
with
home we
you.
grew up in, full
Forever
of
and ever.
memories. But then his
Promise?
wife did something I couldn't believe. She sold it all
This is
away
the
to
best
pay for her
spot.
sister's fancy
Yeah,
wedding.
with you.
How could she do that?
Forever and ever.
It felt like losing him
Promise?
all over again.
Promise.
Stick with me, because what happened next changed everything. But wait, was there more to this story than I knew? But what was hiding in that will that I didn't see at first? Keep listening to find out.
This is the best
Still
spot.
remember the first
Yeah,
time I
with you.
walked through that big
Forever
front
and
door
ever.
as a little girl.
Promise?
The smell hit me right away. Old wood, a
This
touch
is
of
the
lemon
best
polish,
spot.
and something
Yeah, with
warm,
you.
like fresh bread,
Forever and
even though
ever.
no one was baking.
Promise?
My brother
Promise.
Daniel was already inside, running ahead, laughing so loud the sound bounced off the high ceilings. He was 8, I was 5. That house wasn't just walls and windows to us. It was the only place that ever felt completely safe. Our parents weren't rich, but they worked hard. Dad fixed cars at the garage down the street. Mom cleaned offices at night so we could have piano lessons and new shoes every September. They bought that mansion. People called it a mansion, though it was really just a big, tired old Victorian, because it was cheap back then. The roof leaked, the floors creaked, but it had 7 bedrooms, a wide porch that wrapped around like arms, and a backyard so deep you could lose yourself in the trees. To 2 kids who shared one tiny room in an apartment before that, it felt like a palace. Daniel loved that house more than anyone. He used to say he could hear stories in the walls. Every scratch on the banister had a memory for him. The mark where he slid down too fast and caught his knee. The dent in the kitchen door
This is
from the
the
time we
best
tried to
spot.
ride our bikes
Yeah,
inside
with
during a
you.
rainstorm.
Forever and
He
ever.
promised me,
Promise?
seriously promised, with his small hand on his heart, that one
This
day
is
the
the
house would be
best
ours
spot.
forever.
Yeah,
We'll never
with
sell
you.
it, he said.
Forever and ever.
Even when we're old and gray,
Promise?
we'll sit on the
Promise.
porch and tell our grandkids how we used to race up those stairs. I believed him. Why wouldn't I? Daniel never lied, not to me. Years passed. We grew up. I moved to the city for nursing school.
This
He
is
stayed
the
closer to
best
home,
spot.
opened a
Yeah,
small
with you.
carpentry shop.
Forever
He was
and
good with
ever.
his hands,
Promise?
always had been.
Promise.
He could look at a broken chair and see exactly how to make it whole again. People came from miles away for his work. He never got rich, but he was happy, and he never stopped fixing things around that old house. Then he met Sarah. She came into his shop one rainy afternoon looking for a new dining table. Tall, quiet, with dark hair that fell like a curtain when she laughed. Daniel told me later he knew right then. She looked at the wood like it mattered, he said. I met her a few weeks after that. She was kind, soft-spoken. She listened when I talked about work, really listened, not just waited for her turn. I liked her. I really did. She made Daniel smile in a new way, lighter somehow. They got married in the backyard under the big maple tree. I stood beside him in a pale blue dress, holding flowers I'd picked that morning. When he said "I do," his voice cracked just a little. I cried happy tears that day. I thought we were gaining a sister. Life moved on quietly for a while. Sarah decorated the house in soft colors, creams, light blues, touches of lavender. She planted roses along the front path. Daniel built her a reading nook in the sunroom. They talked about kids someday. They talked about growing old there. Everything felt right. Then the diagnosis came. It started with a cough he couldn't shake, a chest x-ray, a specialist, lung cancer, stage 4. The words landed like stones in still water. Ripples kept spreading, but the center stayed cold and heavy. Daniel fought hard. Chemo, radiation, new medicines that made him so tired he could barely stand. But he never complained, not once. When I visited, he'd still joke about the house. Fix the
This
porch
is the
step before I
best
go,
spot.
he'd say with
Yeah,
that crooked
with you.
smile. Sarah
Forever
keeps
and
tripping
ever.
on it.
Promise?
I tried to laugh.
Promise.
Most days I just held his hand and let the silence sit between us. Sarah was there every step. She drove him to appointments. She cooked the only things he could keep down. She slept in the chair beside his hospital bed when I couldn't stay. I was grateful for her, truly. I told her so more than once. You're the best thing that ever happened to him, I said. She hugged me tight and whispered, he's the best thing that ever happened to me. The last few months were the hardest. He got so thin. His voice became a whisper, but his eyes still lit up when he talked about the house. One night, when the pain meds made everything soft around the edges, He asked me to sit close. I wrote a will, he said. I nodded. I already knew he had a lawyer friend help him. I left the house to you. My heart stopped for a second. Daniel, what about Sarah? He looked at me for a long time. Sarah will be okay. She has family, money from my shop, life insurance. But this house, it's ours. You and me. The memories live here. I want them to stay with you. I started crying, quietly. I didn't want him to see how much it hurt to hear him talk like he was already leaving. Promise me you'll keep it, he said. Raise your kids here if you have them, or just sit on the porch and remember me, but don't let it go. I promised. I held his hand until he fell asleep. I stayed until the nurses came to check on him. I kissed his forehead and whispered, I love you, babe brother. 3 weeks later, he was gone. The funeral was small, family, a few close friends from his shop. Sarah wore black and held herself together better than I could. I stood beside her at the grave. We didn't speak much. We just watched the dirt cover the box that held the boy who once raced me up the stairs. Afterward, everyone came back to the house. People brought casseroles, coffee, quiet stories about Daniel. Sarah thanked everyone. She smiled when she needed to, but I saw her eyes. They were empty in a way I hadn't seen before. A few days later, the lawyer called me. He read the will over the phone, because I couldn't drive all the way to his office yet. My hands were shaking. I sat on the same porch step Daniel always told Sarah to watch out for. And to my sister, Emily, I leave the family home at 1427 Maple Lane, in its entirety, including all land and contents, to be hers alone. The lawyer paused. There's a small life insurance policy for Sarah, and the shop goes to his 2 apprentices so they can keep it running. But the house, it's yours. I thanked him. I hung up and sat there until the sun went down. I thought about Daniel's promise. I thought about the stories in the walls. For the first time since he died, I felt something close to peace. But peace doesn't last long when other people have plans. Sarah called me the next morning. Her voice was calm. Too calm. Emily, we need to talk about the house. I felt my stomach twist. Okay, I said. What about it? I think we should sell it. I didn't answer right away. I just listened to the quiet on the line. My heart was beating so loud, I was sure she could hear it. Why? I finally asked. She spoke slowly, like she'd practiced the words. It's too big for one person. The upkeep is expensive. Taxes, repairs. Daniel wouldn't want you struggling. I closed my eyes. Daniel wanted me to have it, I said. He told me himself. Silence again. Then she sighed. Not angry, just tired. We'll talk more when you come over, she said. Come this weekend. We'll figure it out together. I agreed. I didn't know what else to do. That weekend I drove the 3 hours back to the house. The roses Sarah planted were in full bloom. The porch looked freshly swept. Everything looked the same, but it didn't feel the same. Sarah opened the door. She hugged me. Her arms were stiff. We sat at the kitchen table, the same table Daniel built for her as a wedding gift. She poured tea. She didn't look at me when she spoke. I've been thinking a lot, she started, about what's fair. Fair. That word landed like a stone. She explained. Her younger sister, Lily, was getting married in 6 months. A big wedding, the kind with flowers shipped from another country, a venue by the water, 300 guests. Lily's fiancé came from money, but the family still wanted to pay for half. Sarah's parents didn't have it. They were asking her to help. I don't have that kind of money lying around, she said. But if we sell the house, split it, I could give them what they need, and you'd still walk away with more than enough. I stared at my tea. Steam rose in little curls. I watched it disappear. Daniel left the house to me, I said quietly. Not to split, not to sell. She looked at me then, really looked. Her eyes were wet, but not from sadness, from something harder. He didn't know how hard it would be, she said. He was sick. He wasn't thinking clearly. My chest tightened. Daniel was clear, I told her. He made me promise. She stood up, walked to the window, looked out at the backyard where they said their vows. I loved him too, she said. But love doesn't pay bills or give a bride her dream day. I didn't answer. I couldn't. My throat was too full. She turned back to me. I already talked to a realtor, she said, quietly, just to see what it's worth. My hands went cold. You did what? Just to see, she repeated. No papers signed yet. But It's a lot of money, Emily, enough to change things for a lot of people. I stood up slowly. My chair scraped the floor, loud in the quiet kitchen. I'm not selling, I said. This is my home now. Daniel's wish. Sarah looked at me for a long moment. Then she nodded, once, small, like she'd expected that answer. Okay, she said softly. We'll see. I left that day feeling like I'd been punched in the stomach. I drove home crying. Not loud sobs, just steady tears that blurred the highway lines. I told myself it would be okay. She couldn't sell it without me. The will was clear. My name would go on the deed. But deep down, I felt something shift. A small crack in the foundation, the kind you don't notice until the whole house starts to lean. I didn't know it then, but Sarah had already taken the first step behind my back. And the next steps were coming faster than I could imagine. What did I find when I went back to the house 2 weeks later? And why were there papers on the kitchen table with someone else's signature? Keep listening. The real hurt was just beginning. I drove home that weekend, feeling smaller than I had in years. The highway stretched long and empty in front of me. Every mile felt like it was pulling me farther from the house and from Daniel. I kept replaying Sarah's words in my head. Fair, change things for a lot of people. She said it like the house was just money waiting to be divided, like it wasn't the only place where my brother still lived inside me. When I got back to my small apartment in the city, I didn't unpack. I just sat on the couch with the lights off. The phone stayed silent. No call from Sarah. No text saying she was sorry or that she'd changed her mind. Nothing. Just quiet. The kind of quiet that makes every thought louder. The next few days blurred together. Work kept me busy. Night shifts at the hospital, checking vitals, holding hands when patients were scared. I was good at being calm for other people. But when I came home and closed the door, the calm cracked. I'd sit at my little kitchen table and stare at the photo of Daniel and me on the fridge. We were maybe 10 and 7, arms around each other on the porch swing, grinning like the world would never change. I'd trace his face with my finger and whisper, "What do I do now?" I tried calling the lawyer again, Mr. Harlan, Daniel's old friend who handled the will. He was kind on the phone, patient. He explained everything again, slow and clear. The house is titled in your name now, Emily. The transfer was processed right after probate closed. Sarah has no legal claim to sell it without your signature. She can't do anything alone. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. Thank you, I said. So she was just talking, trying to convince me? He paused. I wouldn't say that exactly. But legally, you're safe. If anyone tries to list it or move forward, the title company will flag it. You'd be notified immediately. That should have made me feel better. It did, a little, but something still sat heavy in my chest, like I'd won a small battle, but the war hadn't even started yet. 2 weeks passed. Sarah didn't call. I didn't call her either. I told myself space was good. Maybe she'd think it over. Maybe she'd see how much the house meant, not just to me, but to Daniel's memory. Maybe she'd remember the promises they made under that maple tree. Then the email came. It was from a real estate agency I'd never heard of. Subject line, preliminary home valuation, 1427 Maple Lane. My hands went cold before I even opened it. I clicked anyway. Dear Ms. Emily Carter, we recently conducted a market analysis for the property located at 1427 Maple Lane at the request of co-owner Sarah Thompson, widow of Daniel Thompson. Based on current market conditions, we estimate the fair market value between 1.2 and 1.4 million. Please find attached the full comparative market analysis report. We would be happy to discuss listing options at your earliest convenience. Co-owner. The words stared back at me. I read it 3 times. Then I opened the attachment. There it was. Photos of the house, the front porch, the roses, the backyard where they got married, all professionally staged. Someone had been inside taking pictures. Recently. My stomach turned. I called Mr. Harlan right away. He answered on the second ring. Emily, everything okay? No, I said. My voice sounded thin. They sent me a valuation. They called Sarah a co-owner. A long silence. Then he spoke carefully. That's not possible. Let me pull the title records again. Give me 10 minutes. I'll call you back. Those 10 minutes felt like hours. I paced my living room. The floorboards creaked under my feet. Different creaks than the old house. Sharper, lonelier. When the phone rang again, I answered before the first ring finished. Emily, he said, the deed is clean. Your name only. Sarah is not on title. She never was. Whoever sent that email either made a mistake or they're acting like she has rights she doesn't. But they took photos, I said. Inside the house. Another pause. Did you give anyone permission to enter? No. Then someone went in without your consent. That's trespassing, Emily. We need to address this now. He told me to forward the email. He said he'd contact the real estate agency directly. He told me not to respond yet. Don't give them anything in writing, he said. Just sit tight. I'll handle it. I hung up. I felt sick. Not angry yet. That would come later. Just sick. Like something precious had been touched by hands that didn't belong there. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept seeing the photos in my mind. The living room where Daniel used to read me stories. The hallway where we'd leave footprints in flour when we tried to bake cookies. Someone had walked through it with a camera, measured it, priced it, like it was already gone. The next morning I called Sarah. She answered on the third ring. Her voice was soft, almost sweet. Emily, hi. Why did a realtor email me a valuation? I asked. No hello, no small talk. I couldn't pretend anymore. She sighed, long, tired. I told them to send it to both of us, so you could see the numbers, see how much it could help. Help who? I said. Me or your sister's wedding? Another sigh. Both of us. Lily's wedding is important to my family. You know that. And you'd get half. That's fair. Half? My voice rose just a little. I caught it, brought it back down. Daniel left it to me, all of it. You know that. Daniel was dying, she said quietly. He wasn't thinking about the future, about how hard it would be for you to keep up a place that size. I'm trying to protect you, Emily. Protect me. The words felt wrong in my ears, like a lie dressed up in kindness. I don't need protecting from my own home, I said, and I didn't give anyone permission to go inside and take pictures. Silence. Then she spoke softer. I let them in, just for measurements. I thought if you saw how much it was worth, you'd understand. You went behind my back, I said. My throat felt tight. You let strangers walk through Daniel's house, our house. It's not like I sold it, she answered. I'm just exploring options. I closed my eyes, took a slow breath. I'm not selling. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Please stop. She didn't answer right away. When she did, her voice was different, cooler. I hear you, Emily, but this isn't just about what you want. It's about what's right for everyone. Then she hung up. I stood there holding the phone. The room felt colder. I looked around my tiny apartment, the secondhand couch, the single lamp, the stack of nursing books on the coffee table. It was mine, safe, small, but it wasn't home. Not the way Maple Lane was. Harlan again that afternoon. He'd already spoken to the agency. They apologized, said it was a misunderstanding. They removed the listing photos from their system, promised not to proceed without both parties' consent. But Mr. Harlan didn't sound relieved. They backed off fast, he said. Too fast. That usually means someone told them to stop, because they're planning something else. What do you mean? I mean, watch your mail. Watch your email. If she can't convince you, she might try pressure another way. People do strange things when money's involved. I thanked him, hung up, sat in the dark again. Days turned into a week, then 2. No more emails from realtors, no calls from Sarah. I started to breathe easier, told myself maybe it was over. Maybe she'd accepted it. Maybe time would soften everything. Then the letter arrived. It came in a thick white envelope. No return address. Just my name typed on the front. I opened it at the kitchen table. Inside was a single sheet of paper. A formal notice. Notice of intent to partition property pursuant to state law. Co-owner Sarah Thompson hereby provides notice of intent to seek judicial partition of the real property located at 1427 Maple Lane. Should the parties fail to reach agreement on sale or buyout within 60 days, a petition will be filed in county court for forced sale of the property and division of proceeds. My hands shook so hard, the paper rattled. Co-owner. Again. But Mr. Harlan said, he said the title was clean. I called him immediately. He answered right away. Emily? They sent a partition notice, I said. My voice cracked. Said Sarah is co-owner. He was quiet for a second. Then, send it to me now. I'm looking it up. I scanned the letter and emailed it. Waited. 5 minutes. 10. My heart wouldn't slow down. When he called back, his voice was tight. This is interesting. She's claiming there was a handwritten codicil to the will. A later note from Daniel. saying the house should be shared equally between you and her. My mouth went dry. A codicil? Yes. She attached a copy to the notice. It's dated 2 days before he passed. It's in his handwriting, or what looks like it. It says, I want Sarah and Emily to share the house equally. They both loved it. They both deserve it. Signed with his initials. I sat down hard. The chair scraped. But he told me. I know, Mr. Harlan said gently, and the original will is clear. But if this codicil is real and witnessed, it could change everything. Witnessed? Yes. There's a signature. Someone named Maria Gonzalez. Do you know that name? I thought. Maria, the hospice nurse who came to the house the last 2 weeks. The one who sat with Daniel when Sarah and I both needed a break. She was kind, quiet. She held his hand when the pain got bad. Yes, I whispered. She was there. Mr. Harlan exhaled. Then we have a problem. If she confirms she saw him write it, a judge might accept it. I stared at the wall. Everything felt far away, like I was floating above my own body. What do? I asked. We fight it, he said. We question the timing, the handwriting, the circumstances. Daniel was on heavy medication. He could barely hold a pen some days. We'll get medical records. We'll depose Maria. We'll show the original promise he made to you. I nodded, even though he couldn't see me. Okay. But Emily, he paused. This could get expensive, and long, and ugly. Ugly. That word stayed with me after we hung up. I looked at the letter again, at the neat typed words, at the little handwritten note attached. Daniel's handwriting, shaky. But his. I touched the paper, closed my eyes, and for the first time since he died, I felt angry. Not loud, not screaming, just a deep, quiet burn, because someone had taken his hand when he was weakest and used it to rewrite his goodbye. I didn't know what was coming next, but I knew one thing for sure. The house wasn't just wood and memories anymore. It was a battlefield, and I wasn't ready to lose it. What happened when I drove back to the house unannounced and found the locks already changed? Keep listening. The betrayal was deeper than I ever imagined. I sat in my car, outside the house, for almost 20 minutes before I could make myself get out. The engine ticked as it cooled. The street was the same as always. Kids riding bikes a few houses down, someone watering flowers, the faint smell of someone's barbecue drifting over. Everything normal, but nothing felt normal anymore. I had the key in my hand, the same key Daniel gave me years ago when he said, just in case you ever need to come home. I walked up the porch steps slowly. Each one creaked under my weight, like it remembered me. I slid the key into the lock, turned it, nothing. The key stopped halfway. I tried again, pushed harder. Still nothing. My stomach dropped. I pulled the key out, looked at it like maybe it had changed shape in my pocket. Then I tried the doorknob. Locked tight. I knocked, soft at first, then louder. No answer. I walked around to the side window, the one that looked into the dining room. The curtains were drawn, but there was a small gap. I pressed my face close. The table was still there, Daniel's table, but the chairs were gone. The room looked empty.
Oh my God.
Not just quiet, empty.
I can't
My hands
believe
started
this.
shaking. I walked back to the
changes
front door,
everything.
knocked again, this time harder. Sarah?
Oh
My voice
God.
sounded small against the wood.
I
Sarah,
can't
it's
believe
me.
this.
Open up.
This changes
Nothing.
everything.
I pulled out my phone, called her. It rang once,
Oh my
twice,
God.
went to voicemail. Her
I
voice,
can't believe
calm,
this.
polite, said
This
to leave a
changes
message.
everything.
I didn't. I just stood there staring at the door, like if I stared long enough, it would open on its own. A car pulled up behind mine. I turned. It was a silver sedan I didn't recognize. A woman got out, mid-40s maybe, short hair, professional-looking jacket. She carried a clipboard. "Excuse me," she said. "Are you here for the viewing?" My mouth went dry. "Viewing?" She smiled politely. "The open house. It starts in about 15 minutes. We're showing the property today." I felt the ground tilt under me. Open house? The words came out like someone else was saying them. She looked confused for a second, then checked her clipboard. "Yes, 1427 Maple Lane. Listed last week. Beautiful home. Great potential." I shook my head slowly. "No, there's been a mistake. This house isn't for sale." She frowned a little. "I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm the agent handling the showing. Sarah Thompson listed it personally. I have the paperwork right here." She held up a folder. I could see the edge of a photo, the front of the house, same roses, same porch, my roses now, my porch. I'm Emily, I said. Emily Carter, Daniel's sister. The house is in my name. Her smile faded. She looked at me closer. You're the sister? Yes. She hesitated. I wasn't told there was a dispute. Sarah said it was jointly owned. She provided documentation. Show me, I said. My voice was quieter than I meant it to be. She opened the folder, flipped through pages, stopped on one, a copy of what looked like a deed. 2 names, Sarah Thompson and Emily Carter, both listed as owners. My breath caught. That's not real, I whispered. That can't be real. She closed the folder slowly. I think you should speak to Sarah, or a lawyer. I can cancel today's showing if... No, I said. Don't cancel. I want to see inside. She looked unsure. I can't let you in without... It's my house, I said. The words came out steady this time. Please. She studied my face for a long moment, then nodded once. Okay, but just quickly. Buyers will be here soon. She unlocked the door with her own key, a key Sarah must have given her. The lock turned easily. The door opened. The smell hit me first. Still the same. Wood, lemon, a faint trace of roses, but underneath it something new. Fresh paint maybe. Cleaner. Too clean. I stepped inside. The hallway looked different. The old rug was gone. The photos, the ones of me and Daniel as kids, the wedding picture, the one of him holding the first chair he ever built. They were all missing. Bare walls. Fresh white paint covering the places where frames used to hang. I walked into the living room. The couch was gone. The bookshelves empty. Just the fireplace still there. Cold and dark. I turned to the agent. Where's everything? She looked uncomfortable. Sarah said she was staging it for the sale. Most of the furniture went into storage. Storage. The word felt like a slap. I walked through to the kitchen. Daniel's table was still there, but the chairs, the ones he carved by hand, were gone. A set of plain white ones sat in their place, impersonal, temporary. I touched the tabletop, ran my fingers over the little burn mark from when we made pancakes and forgot to turn the burner off. Still there. At least that hadn't been erased. The agent cleared her throat. I really should get ready for the first group. I nodded, but I couldn't leave yet. I went upstairs. My feet knew every creak. The stairs still sounded the same. Daniel's bedroom door was open. The bed was made with plain white sheets, no pillows he used to sleep on, his nightstand empty, no book, no glass of water, nothing that said he ever lived here. I stood in the doorway, closed my eyes. I could almost hear him breathing, the soft rattle at the end, the way he'd squeeze my hand when the pain came. A tear slipped down my cheek. I wiped it away fast. Downstairs the doorbell rang. Voices, people coming in, laughing lightly, talking about square footage, natural light, potential. I walked back down. The agent was greeting a young couple. They smiled at me like I was just another visitor. I slipped past them, out the front door, down the steps. I didn't look back. In my car I sat with my hands on the wheel. Didn't start the engine, just sat. How had she done it? How had she changed the deed? How had she gotten new keys made? How had she moved everything out without me knowing? My phone buzzed. A text from Mr. Harlan. Emily, got your message. I'm looking into the partition notice now. But I just pulled the county records online. The deed was quitclaimed last week. Sarah filed a document saying you both agreed to add her name. It has your signature on it. My signature. I stared at the words. I never signed anything. Never. But there it was in black and white. My name, scrawled at the bottom. I thought back to the last time I was at the house. The tea, the kitchen table, the way she poured slowly, the way she kept talking, kept me there. Had she slipped something under my hand? A paper, while I was upset, while I was crying? Or had she practiced my handwriting, traced it, copied it from old cards, from the birthday notes Daniel and I used to leave each other? I didn't know. She had forged it, or tricked me into signing it. Either way, she had lied, stolen, taken the one thing Daniel trusted me to keep. The anger that had been small before, it grew. Not loud, not hot, just deep, steady, like a river carving stone. I started the car, drove away slowly. The house got smaller in the rearview mirror. The roses blurred. The porch disappeared. But I wasn't disappearing. Not yet. I called Mr. Harlan back. He answered right away. I'm coming to your office, I said. Tomorrow, first thing, we're fighting this. He paused. You sure? It's going to be hard, expensive, and Sarah, she's already moving fast. I know, I said, but Daniel trusted me, and I promised him. A soft breath on the other end. Okay, tomorrow at 9. Bring any papers you have, any messages, anything. I hung up. The sun was setting when I got back to the city, orange light across the buildings. I parked, sat there a minute. Then I whispered to the empty car, to Daniel, to the house I couldn't see anymore. I'm not letting go, not without a fight. And for the first time since the letter came, I felt something stronger than hurt. Quiet strength, the kind that doesn't shout. It just keeps moving forward. But what I didn't know yet was how far Sarah would go, how many more lies she had waiting, and what it would cost me to take back what was mine. Keep listening, because the next part, it broke something inside me I didn't know could break. I didn't sleep that night. Not really. I lay on my couch with the blanket pulled up to my chin, staring at the ceiling cracks that looked like thin rivers. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the empty walls, the missing photos, the plain white chairs where Daniel's carved ones used to be. It felt like someone had reached inside my chest and pulled out pieces of him while I wasn't looking. Morning came gray and slow. I made coffee I didn't drink, showered without feeling the water, drove to Mr. Harlan's office with the windows down, hoping the air would wash some of the ache away. It didn't. His office was small, old books on shelves, a coffee stain on the carpet that had been there since I was a kid, coming with Daniel for small legal things, a lease, a will for our dad years ago. Mr. Harlan looked older today, tired around the eyes. He stood when I walked in, hugged me without asking, short, gentle, like he knew words weren't enough yet. We sat at his desk. He had papers spread out already, copies of the quitclaim deed, the partition notice, the supposed codicil, my forged signature staring up at me like an accusation. He tapped the quitclaim gently. This was filed 8 days ago, notarized by a woman named Carla Ruiz, notary public in the next county over. I nodded, didn't trust my voice yet. I pulled her records, he continued. She's done a lot of quick notarizations lately. House sales, deeds. Some look rushed. Rushed how, I asked? My throat felt raw. People signing without full explanation, or sometimes not signing at all. He met my eyes. Emily, it's possible Sarah brought a document to this notary with your name already on it, or convinced her it was okay. I looked down at my hands. They were folded tight in my lap, knuckles white. But how did she get my signature so perfect? I whispered. It looks exactly like mine. He slid another paper across, a copy of an old birthday card I'd sent Daniel years ago. The one where I wrote, Happy 30th, big brother. Love you forever, M. My looping E, the little tail on the Y. This was in the house, he said softly. Sarah had access to everything. All your old letters, cards, notes you left on the fridge. I stared at the card, remembered writing it at the kitchen table while Daniel pretended not to watch. He'd teased me about my handwriting looking like fancy spaghetti. We laughed until we cried. Now that same handwriting had been used to steal from him. I pressed my lips together, hard. A tear escaped anyway, fell onto the paper, smeared the ink just a little. Mr. Harlan handed me a tissue, waited until I could breathe again. We can challenge the quitclaim, he said. File a motion to set it aside. Claim fraud, forgery. We'll get a handwriting expert. We'll subpoena the notary. We'll request the original will file again to prove the codicil timing doesn't match the medical notes. Months. Maybe a year if it goes to court. And the house? He looked down. They can still show it, still try to sell. But if we file the challenge quickly, we can get a lis pendens on record. A what? A notice of pending litigation. It attaches to the title, warns any buyer there's a dispute. Most people won't touch it then. Buys us time. I nodded slowly. Okay, do it. He wrote something on a yellow pad, then looked up. There's more. My heart sank lower. Sarah withdrew the life insurance payout already. She used part of it to pay the realtor's retainer. And she listed the house below market, aggressively low. She wants it gone fast. I closed my eyes, felt the room tilt. She's not waiting for court, I said. She's trying to sell before we can stop her. I opened my eyes, looked at him straight. What if someone buys it? He didn't sugarcoat it. Then we'd have to sue the new owner too. Prove fraud all over again. It gets complicated and expensive. I let that sit. Heavy. Real. Then I asked the question I'd been avoiding. How much? He wrote a number on the pad, turned it so I could see. Retainer. Expert fees. Filing costs. Court appearances. It was more than I had saved. More than I made in 2 years. I stared at the number, felt something inside me crack wider. I don't have that, I said quietly. I know. He leaned forward. But we can start small. File the list pendants today. Challenge the quitclaim. See if she backs down when she sees we're serious. And if she doesn't? He didn't answer right away. Just looked at me with those kind, tired eyes. Then we keep going, he said. As far as it takes. I nodded. Even though my stomach was twisting. Even though I could already feel the weight of debt pressing down. We spent the next hour signing papers. Affidavits. A complete draft. My hand shook when I wrote my name. The real one this time. When I left his office, the sun was high. Hot. I sat in my car again. Didn't drive right away. I thought about Daniel. About the promise I made beside his bed. About how he trusted me to keep the house safe. How he believed I could. I whispered to the empty seat beside me.
All right, let's get started.
I'm trying,
I'm
Daniel.
ready when you
I'm trying
are.
so hard.
We have
A
lot
sob
to
caught in my
cover,
throat.
so let's begin.
I let it come this time. Quiet. Private, no one to see.
All right, let's
When
get
it passed, I
started.
wiped
I'm
my
ready
face,
when you are.
started the car,
We have
drove
a
home.
lot to cover,
That
so
evening,
let's
my phone
begin.
rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Emily? Sarah's voice. Soft. Almost gentle. I didn't say anything. I heard you went to the house, she said. I'm sorry you saw it like that. I didn't want you to find out this way. I gripped the phone tighter. You changed the locks, I said. You moved everything out. You forged my name. A pause. Long. I didn't forge anything, she said. You signed the quitclaim. The last time you were here, when we had tea. My blood went cold. I never signed anything, I told her. You were upset, she said. Crying. You said you couldn't keep it alone, that it was too much. You signed so we could both be free. I felt sick. Physically sick. That's not true. It is, she insisted, quietly. I have the original. I'll show you if you want. I laughed then, a small broken sound. You have a fake. Just like the codicil. Just like everything else. Silence again. Then she spoke softer. Emily, let it go. The house is sold. Offer accepted this morning. Cash buyer. Closes in 30 days. The room spun. No, I whispered. Yes. Her voice cracked just a little. I'm sorry, but Lily's wedding is paid for now. My parents won't lose everything. And you'll get your half. After fees. It's still a lot. I couldn't speak. I did this for family, she said. All of us. The phone slipped from my hand. Fell to the floor. I sat there, staring at nothing. The house was gone. Sold. To someone who didn't know about the stories in the walls. Who didn't know about the pancakes. The races up the stairs. The promises. Gone. I cried then. Not quiet anymore. Deep, wrenching sobs that hurt my chest. I curled on the floor. Held myself. Rocked a little. Because it wasn't just a house. It was him. The last piece of him I had left. And she took it. For a wedding. For her sister. For family. But not our family. Not anymore. When the tears finally slowed, I picked up the phone. Texted Mr. Harlan one line. She sold it. Cash. 30 days. His reply came fast. We can still stop the closing. File an emergency injunction tomorrow. Come in at dawn. I stared at the message, then typed back. Okay. I didn't know if we could win. Didn't know if I had the money, the strength, the time. But I knew one thing. I wasn't done fighting. Not yet. Keep listening. Because what happened in court, what I learned about the notary, and the moment I faced Sarah one last time, that's when everything changed. Again. The courthouse smelled like old paper and floor wax. I sat on a hard wooden bench outside the courtroom, hands folded in my lap, staring at the scuffed tiles. Mr. Harlan was beside me, flipping through a thin folder one last time. He didn't say much. He didn't have to. We both knew what today meant. The emergency injunction hearing had been scheduled faster than I expected. 23 days after Sarah told me the house was sold. 23 days of sleepless nights, phone calls, affidavits, and nights when I just sat in the dark, holding Daniel's old work shirt that still smelled faintly of sawdust. The bailiff called our case, Carter versus Thompson, Department 4. We stood, walked in. The courtroom was small, half empty. A judge in black robes already seated. Sarah was there too, on the other side. She wore a simple gray dress, hair pulled back, no makeup. She looked smaller than I remembered. She didn't look at me. Her lawyer stood first, a man in a sharp suit, voice smooth like he did this every day. He explained how Sarah had acted in good faith, how the quitclaim was voluntary, how the codicil showed Daniel's true intent, how the sale was necessary to settle debts and honor family obligations. He spoke about equity and fairness like they were simple words, not knives. Then Mr. Harlan stood. His voice was quieter, slower. He laid out the timeline, the original will, Daniel's bedside promise to me, the medical records showing how weak he was those last days, the handwriting analysis we'd rushed, preliminary but clear. The codicil showed signs of tracing. The notary who admitted under deposition that Sarah had come alone with the document said Emily was too ill to attend and notarized it anyway. The judge listened, took notes, asked a few questions, mostly to Sarah's side. Then it was my turn to speak. The judge looked at me over his glasses. "Miss Carter, do you wish to address the court?" I stood, legs shaky. I didn't have a speech prepared, just truth. "Your Honor," I started. My voice cracked on the first word. I swallowed, tried again. "My brother Daniel, he was my whole family growing up. Our parents died when we were young. It was just us. That house wasn't just a house. It was where we survived, where we laughed, where he promised me when he was dying that he was leaving it to me so the memories could stay safe, so I could sit on the porch someday and tell my own kids about him." I paused, looked at Sarah for the first time. She was staring at her hands. "I never signed anything," I said. "I never agreed to sell. I never wanted half. I wanted what he wanted, and someone took that from me, took his last gift, and used it to pay for a wedding." My voice stayed low. No shouting, just steady. "I'm not here for the money," I said. "I'm here because I promised him, and promises are the only thing we have left when someone's gone." The room was very quiet. The judge cleared his throat. "Thank you, Miss Carter." He looked at both lawyers. "I'm granting the temporary injunction. The closing is stayed pending full hearing on the merits. The lis pendens remains in place. No further transfers until resolved." Sarah's lawyer stood quickly. "Your Honor." "Counsel," the judge cut in. "Save it for the full trial. I've heard enough for today." We walked out. Mr. Harlan squeezed my shoulder once. "Good job," he whispered. Outside the courthouse, Sarah waited. Alone. No lawyer. Just her. She stepped toward me. I stopped. "Emily," she said, her voice small. I waited. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," she said. "I thought, if I moved fast, you'd see it was better, for everyone." "You forged my name," I said. "You lied to a notary. You took photos of our house. You moved his things. You erased him." Tears filled her eyes. "I was scared," she whispered.
Members of the
My
jury,
parents,
this
they were
verdict is
going to
not
lose
just
their
about
home
today,
too.
it will shape our future.
Lily's wedding,
You must
it was
consider
supposed
the
to
full
fix
impact.
things. I thought Daniel would
Members of the
understand.
jury, this verdict
"Daniel
is not
trusted
just
you,"
about
I said.
today, it will
"That's
shape
why he
our
left you the
future.
insurance,
You
the
must
shop.
consider
He
the
thought
full
you'd be
impact.
okay." She looked down.
Members of the jury,
"I
this
know."
verdict is
Neither
not
of us
just
spoke
about
for a long
today, it will
time.
shape our
Then she said,
future.
"I'll
You
withdraw
must
the sale.
consider the
I'll
full
sign whatever you
impact.
need to put the house
Members
back in
of
your
the
name
jury,
alone."
this verdict is
I didn't
not
answer
just
right
about
away.
today, it will
"Why
shape
now?"
our
I asked.
future. You
"Because,"
must
she wiped her
consider the
face.
full
"I
impact.
saw you in there, talking about him, and I realized I took more than a house from you. The last place you could still feel him." I felt something loosen in my chest. Not forgiveness, not yet, but something close to understanding. "I don't want your half," I said. "I don't want anything from you. I just want the house, the way he left it to me." She nodded. "I'll make it happen." She turned to walk away, then stopped, looked back. "I'm sorry, Emily, for all of it." I didn't say I forgave her. I couldn't yet, but I said, "Thank you." She left. I stood there on the courthouse steps, wind blowing, sun warm on my face. Mr. Harlan came up beside me. "She'll follow through," he said. "I'll make sure." I nodded. We walked to the car. I got in, started driving home. The house was still there, locked, empty, but not sold, not yet gone. I thought about Daniel, about how he'd smile when he won a small victory, fixing a chair no one else could. Quiet pride. I whispered to the empty passenger seat. We did it. For now. The road stretched ahead, long, but not impossible. There would be more papers, more hearings, more costs, but the house was still standing. The porch still waited. The stories in the walls still breathed. And for the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe too. Keep listening, because the ending, it wasn't dramatic. No big courtroom scene, no revenge, just quiet steps forward, and a lesson I carry every day now. One more part left, the soft close, the one where I finally go back inside. Months passed after that day on the courthouse steps. Not easy months, not peaceful ones, but steady ones. Papers kept coming. More affidavits, more depositions. The handwriting expert confirmed what we already knew. The codicil had been traced. The notary admitted she never met me, never verified my identity, just took Sarah's word, and a cash tip she later called a thank you gift. Sarah didn't fight it anymore. Her lawyer withdrew the partition claim. She signed the documents to remove her name from the deed, quietly, without another word to me. Mr. Harlan handled most of it. I paid what I could, took extra shifts at the hospital, skipped meals some days, sold the few things I owned that weren't nailed down. A necklace Daniel gave me for my 18th birthday, my old guitar I never played anymore. It hurt to let them go, but the house was worth more than any of it. In the end, the court ruled the quitclaim invalid, fraudulent. The title went back to me alone, clean, final. I didn't celebrate. No party, no big moment. Just a quiet email from Mr. Harlan, one rainy afternoon. "It's done, Emily. The house is yours, completely." I read those words 3 times. Then I cried again. Different tears this time. Not broken, relieved, grateful, like the last knot in my chest finally loosened. I waited another week before I went back. I needed time to prepare myself, to make sure I could walk through that door without falling apart. When the day came, the sky was clear, blue, the kind of blue Daniel loved. I drove the 3 hours with the windows down, radio off, just the sound of tires on pavement and wind rushing past. I pulled up to the curb. The roses were overgrown now, wild, thorns everywhere. The porch steps still sagged a little, the one Sarah always tripped on. The paint on the front door had started to peel in thin curls. I got out, took the new key from my pocket. The locksmith had changed the locks again. Only one key this time, mine. I walked up the steps slowly. Each creak felt like hello. I slid the key in, turned it. The lock clicked, soft, welcoming. The door opened. The smell wrapped around me like arms. Wood, dust, faint roses, and something else. Time, waiting. Everything was still there. Not perfect, not staged. The furniture Sarah moved to storage had been returned by the moving company. Not arranged, just placed. The couch crooked, boxes stacked in corners. I walked through the hallway. The photos were back on the walls. A little crooked, but there. Daniel and me on the porch swing, him holding his first finished chair, our parents' wedding picture. All of it. I touched each frame, lightly, like they might disappear if I pressed too hard. In the kitchen, Daniel's table waited, the burn mark from the pancakes still dark against the wood. The chairs, his carved ones, were back in place. Ran my hands over the arms he smoothed so many times. I closed my eyes, listened. The house was quiet, but not empty. I could almost hear him. Not a voice, just a feeling. The way the light came through the window at that exact angle. The way the floor settled under my weight. The way the air moved like it remembered us running through it. I stayed there a long time. Later, I walked upstairs, into his room. The bed was made, plain white sheets, but his pillow was still there, the one with the faint dent where his head used to rest. I lay down on top of the covers, fully clothed, shoes still on, stared at the ceiling. The same cracks I used to trace with my finger when I was little and couldn't sleep. I whispered, I kept it, Daniel. It's still here. We're still here. A breeze came through the open window, moved the curtain, soft, like a hand brushing my hair back. I didn't cry then. I just smiled, small, real. Downstairs, I made tea. The same kettle Sarah used that last day. I didn't think about her much anymore. Not with anger, not with hate, just distance. She had moved away to another town with her sister, with the money that was left after everything. I didn't know if she was happy. I hoped she was, because carrying hate is heavy, and I was tired of heavy. I took my tea to the porch, sat on the top step, the one that still needed fixing. The sun was setting, orange and pink across the sky. The maple tree in the backyard, the one they got married under, rustled softly, leaves drifting down like slow rain. I sipped the tea, hot, comforting, and I thought about what I'd learned. Family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's the people who stay, who keep promises, who fight for what matters even when it costs everything. Inheritance isn't just money or houses. It's the memories, the trust, the love left behind. And sometimes, the hardest part isn't losing something. It's deciding what you'll do to keep it. I finished the tea, set the cup down. The house creaked behind me, settling, breathing. I stood up, brushed the dust from my jeans. Tomorrow I'd start fixing things. The step first, then the roof, the roses, one small thing at a time, because that's how Daniel did it. One chair at a time, one promise at a time. I looked out at the yard, the trees, the sky turning dark, and I said, out loud this time, "Thank you, big brother, for trusting me." Then I walked back inside, closed the door softly, turned on the lamp in the living room. Warm light spilled across the floor. The house felt full again, not of things, but of us. This was my true story, the one about a brother's last gift and the fight to keep it. If it touched you, if you've ever held on to something or someone with everything you had, share it in the comments. Tell me your story, or just say you're here. And if you stayed this long, thank you, from the bottom of my heart. Subscribe for more real stories, more grandma-style tales of love, loss, and the quiet strength it takes to keep going. Time doesn't heal everything. Not really. But it softens the sharp edges, makes the hurt smaller, so you can carry it without bleeding every day. 2 years have passed since I walked back into that house alone. 2 years of quiet mornings on the porch, with coffee going cold, because I'm too busy watching the light change on the maple tree. 2 years of small fixes, new shingles on the roof, fresh paint in the hallway, a new swing where the old one used to hang. I did most of it myself. Learned how from Daniel's old tools still in the garage. His level, his hammer with the worn handle. Every time I picked one up, it felt like he was standing behind me, nodding, not saying anything, just there. The house isn't perfect. Never was. The stairs still creak in the same places. The window in the sunroom sticks when it rains.
This is your great-grandfather.
But those things
He
don't
looks
bother
so
me anymore.
serious.
He was.
Part of the
He was a very
story.
strong man.
Part of us. I don't see Sarah. Haven't since the day she signed the papers. I heard through a distant cousin that she moved to a small town up north, got a job at a library. Quiet life. No big weddings anymore. No big anything. I don't wish her ill. I don't wish her anything really. Just distance. Enough space so the memory of what happened doesn't crowd out the good ones. Sometimes I think about forgiveness. Not the big, dramatic kind you see in movies. The small, everyday kind. The kind where you wake up one morning and realize the anger isn't the first thing on your mind anymore. It's still there, somewhere in the background, but it doesn't lead the way. I'm not sure I've fully forgiven her yet. Maybe I never will, and that's okay. Forgiveness isn't a debt I owe anyone. It's a gift I give myself when I'm ready. What I have given myself is this: a life in the house Daniel left me. Not perfect, not without loneliness some nights, but mine, ours. Last summer, I planted new roses along the front path. Not the same kind Sarah chose. These are wilder, pink and white, with soft thorns that don't hurt much. They bloom in waves. Every time I see them open, I think about how things grow back, even after being cut down, even after being trampled. I have a little girl now. Her name is Lily. Not after Sarah's sister. After the flower, the one that grows through cracks in sidewalks. Stubborn. Beautiful. She's 3. Runs up and down the stairs like Daniel and I used to. Leaves sticky fingerprints on the banister. Asks me every night to tell her stories about Uncle Daniel. I do. I tell her how he built the table in the kitchen.
This is your great-grandfather.
How he raced me to the
He
top
looks
of the
so
stairs and
serious.
always let
He
me win.
was. He
How
was
he
a very
promised
strong
the house
man.
would always be ours.
This is your
She listens with big eyes. Then she hugs me tight and says, "Mommy, we live in a magic house." I smile, kiss the top of her head. Yes, baby,
This is your
we do.
great-grandfather.
He looks
Some
so
evenings when she's
serious.
asleep and
He
the house is
was.
quiet,
He was a very
I
strong
sit
man.
on the porch. Think about how far I've come, how much I almost lost, how much I fought to keep. And I realized something simple. The real inheritance wasn't the mansion. It wasn't the deed or the land or the money it could have brought. It was the promise, the trust, the love Daniel gave me when he had nothing left to give. That's what I carry now. Not a building, not walls and windows, but a feeling, a knowing that someone loved me enough to fight for my future, even when his own was ending. And in return, I fought for his memory. That's the legacy, the one that doesn't fade, the one that lives in every creak of the floor, every bloom in the garden, every story I tell my daughter before she sleeps. I don't know what tomorrow brings. Maybe more repairs, maybe more laughter, maybe days when the ache comes back quiet and unexpected. But whatever comes, I'll meet it here, in this house, with this heart that learned how strong it could be. So if you're listening, if you've stayed with me through all these words, thank you. Thank you for letting me share this piece of my life, for sitting with the hurt, for waiting for the healing. Life doesn't always give us easy endings, but sometimes it gives us the strength to write our own. This was my true story, the one about a brother's last gift and the long, quiet road to keeping it. If it meant something to you, if you've ever held on to a promise when everything else was slipping away, drop a comment, share a piece of your own story, or just leave a heart so I know you are here. And if you want more real stories, more late-night tales of love and loss, and the ordinary courage it takes to keep going, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell. Come back again. I'll be here, waiting on the porch with another story. Good night, friends. Sleep soft and hold tight to the people and the promises that matter most. Years keep slipping by the way seasons do in that old house, one quietly folding into the next. Some days feel ordinary, others feel sacred. Lily is 6 now. She has Daniel's eyes, the same soft brown that crinkled at the corners when he laughed. She asks questions faster than I can answer them. Why does the porch swing creak like it's talking? Because it remembers all the people who sat on it, I tell her. She nods seriously, like that makes perfect sense. Then she climbs onto my lap and whispers, "Does it remember Uncle Daniel too?" Every single day, I say, and I mean it. We've made new memories in these rooms. Her first wobbly steps down the hallway. The Christmas when she insisted on stringing lights along every banister. The afternoons we bake cookies and leave flower footprints exactly where Daniel and I used to leave them. She calls the burn mark on the kitchen table the pancake scar. She traces it with her tiny finger and says, "This is where magic happened." I don't correct her, because she's right. There are still hard days. Anniversaries of his passing come quietly but heavy. I wake up with that familiar ache in my chest, like something is missing even though everything is here. On those mornings I walk through the house slowly, touch the banister, stand in his old workshop in the garage, smell the faint wood shavings still clinging to the corners, and I talk to him. Not out loud every time, sometimes just in my head. "I miss you today," I say, "but look, we're okay. We're still okay." He never answers with words, but the house does. A sunbeam lands exactly where it used to when he read in the armchair. The floor creaks in the rhythm we used to race to. A breeze moves the curtains the way it did when he opened the window to let fresh air in during his last weeks. Small signs, quiet ones, enough to remind me he's not entirely gone. A few months ago, his envelope arrived. No return address, just my name and neat handwriting I hadn't seen in years. Inside was a single photograph, old, faded at the edges, Daniel and me on the porch swing, maybe 12 and 9,
This
arms
is your
around each other,
great-grandfather.
grinning
He
like the
looks so
world belonged to
serious.
us.
He was.
On the
He was
back,
a very strong
in
man.
Sarah's handwriting, "I kept this. I thought you should have it now. I'm sorry again. I hope the house still feels like home. No signature, no explanation, just those words. I sat with the photo for a long time. Lily came running in, saw it, and asked who the kids were. That's me, I said, and that's Uncle Daniel when we were little. She studied it carefully. You look happy, she said. We were. I didn't cry. Not that day. I just placed the photo on the mantel, next to the one of Daniel holding his first finished chair, next to the one of our parents laughing in the backyard. It fit there, like it had always belonged. I don't know if Sarah will ever reach out again. I don't know if she's found peace. But I hope she has, because holding on to pain forever is like carrying a stone in your pocket. After a while, you forget why you're still holding it, but it still hurts every step. I've learned to set my stone down, not all at once, piece by piece, until the weight is bearable, until I can walk lighter. The house is fuller now, not with things, with life, with Lily's drawings taped to the fridge, with friends who come over for dinner and stay late talking on the porch, with neighbors who wave when they walk by, with the sound of little feet running through rooms that used to be too quiet. And every night, when I tuck Lily in, she asks for one more story. Sometimes it's about Daniel building furniture, sometimes about how he taught me to whistle, sometimes just about how much he loved this house. Last night she added something new. Mommy, she said sleepily, when I grow up, can I keep the house too, so it stays ours forever? I kissed her forehead, brushed her hair back. Yes, sweetheart, I whispered. You can keep it. We'll keep it together. She smiled in the dark, closed her eyes. I stayed until her breathing evened out. Then I walked downstairs, out to the porch, sat on the swing Daniel rebuilt years ago. The night was soft, crickets, a far-off dog barking, stars bright overhead. I looked up at the house, lights glowing in the windows, warm, alive, and I felt it, deep in my bones, that Daniel would be proud, not because I fought and won, but because I kept loving, kept remembering, kept making the house a home. That's the real gift he left, not bricks and wood, but the permission to keep going, to build new stories on top of the old ones, to let love win in the end. So here I am, still on this porch, still in this house, still carrying him with me. And if you've listened all the way through, if you sat with me in the quiet parts and the hard parts, thank you, truly. Stories like this don't end with fireworks. They end with ordinary evenings, with small hands holding yours, with a creaky swing under starlight, with the soft knowledge that you didn't let go. This was my true story, the one about a brother's last gift, the pain of almost losing it, and the slow, beautiful way it came back home. If it stayed with you, if it reminded you of your own promises or your own fights, share a little in the comments. A word, a feeling, or just, I'm here. And if these kinds of real, heartfelt stories bring you comfort, subscribe, hit the bell, come sit on the porch with me again sometime. There are always more stories waiting. Good night, dear friend. May your heart be gentle with itself tonight, and may you always find your way back home. 10 years now, 10 full turns around the sun since the day Daniel left us. The house looks different in small ways. The porch has new railings I built myself last spring. The maple tree is taller, its branches reaching farther over the roof like protective arms. The roses along the path have spread, wild and generous, blooming even when the rest of the garden is tired. But inside it still feels exactly the same, like time folded itself up and tucked away in the corners, waiting for me to find it again. Lily is 16, tall now, with that same crooked smile Daniel used to flash when he finished a piece of furniture just right. She's in her room upstairs most evenings, headphones on, sketching or reading or texting friends about school and dreams and the future. But every Sunday afternoon, without fail, she comes down to the kitchen, puts on the old kettle, makes 2 cups of tea, brings one to me on the porch. We sit side by side on the swing. She doesn't always talk right away. Sometimes we just listen to the leaves rustling, the distant sound of kids playing down the street, the soft creak of the chains holding us up. Last Sunday, she broke the quiet first. Mom? Yeah, sweetheart. Do you ever think about selling it? The question didn't surprise me. I'd been waiting for it someday. Kids grow up. They start thinking about space, about money, about what's practical. I took a slow sip of tea, let the warmth settle in my chest. No, I said. Not really. She turned to look at me, her eyes searching. But it's big. Upkeep is expensive. Taxes, repairs. You could move somewhere smaller, easier. I smiled a little, set my cup on the step beside me. I know, I said. I've thought about it too, on the hard days, when the roof leaks again or the heating bill comes in higher than I expected. She waited, patient, the way Daniel used to wait, when he knew I had more to say. But then I walked through the rooms, I continued. I touched the banister where we carved our initials when we were kids. I sit at the kitchen table where he taught me how to sand wood without getting splinters. I stand in the doorway of his old bedroom and remember how he used to read me stories until I fell asleep. I looked out at the yard, the sun slanting golden through the leaves. This house isn't just a building, Lily. It's the last place I can still hear him laugh, still feel him close. If I sold it, I'd be selling those moments too. And I'm not ready to do that. She nodded slowly, tears shining in her eyes, but not falling. I get it, she whispered. I feel him here too, even though I never met him. I reached over, squeezed her hand. That's the real gift he gave us, I said. Not the walls, not the deed, the feeling that we're never really alone. That love doesn't end when someone leaves. It just changes shape, stays behind in the quiet places. We sat there until the sky turned pink and then purple, until the first stars appeared, until the tea went cold and the mosquitoes started to dance. She leaned her head on my shoulder. I'll keep it too, she said softly. When it's my turn, I promise. I kissed the top of her head. I know you will. Later that night, after she went upstairs, I walked through the house one more time, turned off lights room by room, paused in each doorway, listened to the stillness. In the living room, I stopped at the mantel, looked at the photos lined up there like quiet guardians. Daniel and me as kids, our parents laughing, the old birthday card Sarah sent back, Lily's school picture from last year. So many faces, so many stories. I touched the frame with Daniel's crooked smile, whispered the same thing I've whispered for 10 years now. Thank you. Not just for the house, for the fight, for the love that taught me how to stand up, for showing me that sometimes the bravest thing isn't winning, it's refusing to let go of what matters most. I turned off the last lamp. The house settled into darkness, but not empty darkness, the kind that holds light inside it. I climbed the stairs, creaks following me like old friends, slipped into bed, listened to the soft breathing of my daughter down the hall, and for the first time in a long time, I slept without dreams of loss, just peace, deep, gentle peace, because the mansion never really vanished. It changed hands for a moment, but love brought it back, and love will keep it here, long after I'm gone, long after the porch needs new paint again, long after the roses grow over everything. That's the ending. Not dramatic, not loud, just true. A house, a promise, a brother who loved his sister enough to leave her the safest place he knew, and a sister who loved him enough to fight for it. That's all. Thank you for staying with me until the very last word, for listening to the hurt, for wading through the healing, for sitting on this porch with me, even from so far away. If this story wrapped around your heart even a little, if it reminded you of someone you lost or something you fought to keep, leave a quiet comment, a thank you, a memory, or just your name, so I know you were here. And if these long, real stories help you feel less alone in the world, subscribe, turn on notifications, come back whenever you need to hear that someone else kept going too. I'll be right here, waiting with another cup of tea and another story. Good night, beautiful soul.